Greetings, bold, pioneering, passionate Aries. My name is Eliane Nicole. I'm an astrologer and tarot reader, and now I'm going to do the July 2020 forecast for Aries. I'm going to do a tarot reading, and I'm going to talk about the planets at the end. Definitely stay for the second half of the video. There's a lot of very fascinating stuff going on in the planets for Aries in July. And in general, I recommend that you watch the videos for your sun, moon, and rising sign to get the best scope. And this reading that I do is a Cliff Notes overview of the month, but I always recommend one-on-one readings with an astrologer and tarot reader to get the most out of these wonderful spiritual tools. And as we enter the month of July, Aries, we're seeing the Five of Cups. And the Five of Cups looks like, you know, there could have been a disappointment that happened in the month of June. And however, you know, there is still something salvageable about the situation. You'll see that the figure is lamenting the spilled cups, but behind them are two full cups. And so it's about turning around in gratitude at the beginning of the month. And we're covered by the Queen of Pentacles. And so we see a woman who has financial and business concerns on her mind. It looks like she's a generous woman, a responsible woman, and a practical woman. And you are crossed by the Three of Pentacles, and this is a card about work. And so this is because it's in the crossed position, it's the only card in the layout that is horizontal. Everything else is upright or reversed. And so this card refers to what the Kabbalists call your tikkun. It's your karmic correction in July. And so for Aries, this is really around work and issues around work for you. And the basis of the situation is the Nine of Pentacles, which is a card about financial independence, really, and prosperity and abundance. It's also a card about self-worth and self-esteem. What's leaving is the Seven of Cups. So this is just, you know, in the month of June, it looks like you were really reviewing your options for the future, looking at all the options. What could come into being is the Queen of Cups, and this is a woman who is compassionate and empathetic and has great intuition and great instincts. What will come into being is the World reversed. And so it looks like, Aries, your vision is coming to life mid-month, but maybe not quite in the way that you saw it. For some people, this could mean that overseas travel is delayed or postponed. Fears or insecurities, the Two of Pentacles. So this is about a decision that needs to be made, a practical or financial decision that you're weighing back and forth. Others see you as the Empress reversed. And so this is, for women, it could be that you are stunted somehow, creatively blocked, blocked from growing in some way, maybe just feeling in a rut. You know, for Aries women, for Aries men, it might be that there's a woman figure in your life, perhaps a maternal figure who is out of alignment somehow with relationship to you. And that's something to explore further in a one-on-one reading. I don't want to go too much down that rabbit hole. Positive feelings are the Hierophant. So it looks like Aries is feeling very positive about a commitment, possibly. The Hierophant can represent also an institution or an organization that you belong to. It can represent feeling centered in your values and your morals towards the end of the month. feeling very positive about that. And then at the end of July, it looks like Aries, you may be second guessing yourself about something, or there's a delay or postponement in a new start that you are making. And that's the Tarot overview for July, Aries. And again, I have to go through these cards because I'm trying to keep up the pace of the reading, but on a one-on-one reading, I can get a lot more in depth in how these issues are specifically coming up for you and how to work with them. But now I'm going to talk a little bit about the planets for July. And so as we enter the month of July, Aries, there's a couple of very significant things that happened at the end of June that I have to mention. First of all, Mars moved back into Aries June 27th. So as we enter July, Mars is at 1 degree Aries. So Mars is Aries' natural ruler. Mars is the planet of drive, of our competitive nature. It's our libido, how we go for our desires in life. And so Mars being at home in Aries, this is a really powerful boost of energy for Aries. I believe in June, Aries is going to be feeling really driven and motivated and have this burst of energy to go for your goals, to go for what you want in life. And so that's very powerful energy for Aries. On the other hand, at the end of June, there was also the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction that happened in Capricorn. Now, this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn is something that has been coloring the entire year of 2020. And so, you know, in the collective sense, we relate it to where surges in the virus happen. However, in our personal lives, it manifests, you know, where it comes through in our personal charts. And so for Aries or Aries rising, this is really a 10th house conjunction. And so there's an opportunity for some expansion and transformation in the area of career and attainment. And right now, because Pluto and Jupiter are both retrograde, this could be manifesting more as an inner expansion and transformation for you, Aries, around career and attainment that will be manifesting in the outer world coming up. So, you know, we enter the month with some just very powerful energy already at work in July. And then also July 1st, Saturn goes retrograde into Capricorn. So Saturn for the past 3 months made a little appearance into Aquarius, giving us some foreshadowing of what we can expect in 21 and 22 when Saturn is stably staying in Aquarius. But for now, it's backing up into Capricorn, which is about structures and rules and boundaries and authority with work, you know, and that is going into your house of career and attainment. And so, you know, Aries has a lot of themes around work in the month of July, and you may be trying to figure out what it is you want to do with work. Are you doing something you enjoy with your life? Do you want to be moving on? If you are doing something that you enjoy, is there some way that it needs to transform or evolve or expand or be restructured? These are big themes for Aries in the month of July, and the planets with everything happening in your 10th house. You've got Saturn retrograde in Capricorn, Pallas retrograde in Capricorn, Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn, Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And then, you know, we're going to have the full moon penumbral lunar eclipse happening at 13 degrees Capricorn, July 4th. And so all of that is in the 10th house for Aries. July 6th, Ceres goes retrograde in Pisces. That's happening in Aries' 12th house. You know, throughout the month of July, Aries, you have both Ceres and Neptune in the 12th house. So I think it's really important. You know, this is a deep, dark house. And so it's very important. It's the house of hidden karma. I think it's just super important to nurture your spiritual center in July, Aries. And again, this is something that has a lot more depth and complexity to it that I could get into in a one-on-one reading, but I don't want to go too far here so that I can keep it moving. I'm just going to touch on the things that are going on, and you can always contact me directly. July 12th, Mercury is going direct in Cancer. And so, yes, that's another thing that has been going on since July 17th. Mercury has been retrograde in the sign of Cancer. So, for the whole first couple of weeks of July, we're still dealing with that Mercury retrograde energy. And Mercury retrograde in Cancer, Mercury is the sign of the planet of communication. It's how we speak, it's how we think, it's how we learn. Cancer is a very watery sign, a very emotional sign, very sensitive, very intuitive. And so Mercury retrograde in Cancer can bring up emotional communication dynamics with people, other people in your life. And for Aries, this is happening in the house of home and family, roots, ancestors, the mother. All of these things are kind of coming up with this Mercury retrograde for Aries in the first 2 weeks of the month. July 12th, Mercury goes direct. And so all of the stuff that came up during the Mercury retrograde period should start to begin resolving. But Mercury is not out of the shadow of that retrograde until July 27th. So be patient with these issues, communication issues maybe that happened being cleared up. And Cancer is square Aries. And so that dynamic was happening between your first house and your fourth house. Which is the house of identity and self-expression, with the house of home and the family and all of these things. So July 16th, there's a Saturn North Node aspect that's happening that is in the house of communication versus the house of higher truth and spirituality and these things. So there are some of those themes being explored for Aries this month. It's about, I think it's about work, and I think it's about your higher purpose, and I think it's about what do you have to let go of to align with that, and how do you need to communicate to align with that. And July 20th, is the new moon in Cancer, and that is the black moon in Cancer because it's the second new moon in Cancer within the same period. We had the first one June 20th, and so we have a second chance now to in July to recommit to those fourth house themes that Cancer is bringing up. And that, again, is themes around the mother, themes around the home, around family, around roots, around ancestors. And we can make a very powerful new start here. And, I always recommend doing a new moon altar. I have a new moon altar that I can accept a handful of clients on each month, in which case I work with you on the magic of that new moon and how to bring it in and manifest in your life. But you can also do your own. And I highly recommend really harnessing this very powerful black new moon energy. July 22nd, the sun moves into Leo. And so as the sun moves from Cancer to Leo, on July 22nd, it's moving from your fourth house to your fifth house, Aries. And so I think in general that the Leo sun period is going to highlight, it brings, highlighting things around your children, around fun, around games, around hobbies, around pleasures, around romance. All of that is coming up during Leo season when that hits for Aries. And July 27th, at the end of the month, there's this really beautiful aspect of Jupiter forming a sextile with Neptune. That's a very kind of transcendent, very spiritually expansive. It can be creatively expansive. The shadow side is that there can be fantasy, illusion, escapism, addiction. And so we want to watch out for that if there's like a poorly afflicted Neptune in your natal chart, which again, it's always good to have an understanding of your own natal chart to understand specifically how these alignments might impact you. However, in general, I really love that aspect, and I'm looking forward to it because it's very creative, it's very mystical, very expansive, and yeah, you know, that is the really broad planetary transit overview for Aries. There's so much more that I could get into and I would love to get into with you, which is why I like to have one-on-one readings with people, because you can really go into depth and there's just so much knowledge and wisdom there, and from the cards and from the planets and the stars. But for now, that is my brief overview, and I wanted to say, if you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down, but I hope you liked it. Please follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and please share this video with other Aries that you know. And thank you so much for joining me, Aries. Have a wonderful July.